one, like it was kind of a lot on my mind today, and kind of thinking about what's going to go into today's podcast, and then I was like, let's start it late, that way we have zero places to be, and yeah, you're right. Like, this is how we used to do it all the time, was these 9-10 o'clock shows our time. So it's good to be on here, after dark with all you guys. And you're right, we're back home from Saratoga. I don't know that we could have picked a different, more, I don't know what the word would be, disaster is maybe one, of a weekend at Saratoga. Just like it's not like one thing happened, and it's not like one particular thing happened. It was like just a multiple of different insane events that happened day after day after day, and it was just like, what is happening here? And it just continued to happen, even as much as yesterday, the power going out, and it's just like, what is happening in Saratoga, Halterman?
I know. And today we had a match race. We had a 2-horse field. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was one of the weirdest weekends I've ever spent up there, for sure. Everything else was normal except when you went to the track, and it was like, wow, what's going to happen today? They cancel races, and it never rains any time after they cancel on Friday. And it's like, well, this is odd. We're just kind of standing outside here, just kind of enjoying ourselves. It's like, why can't we run? That was weird. And then, of course, Saturday was just tragic. Sunday, tragic again. Haven't been on the turf since that race on Sunday. And that was an avoidable situation. Anybody paying attention to the meet knows that turf has not been very good the whole meet. So it's a mess right now. And like I said, the power goes out on Wednesday. We got a match race on Thursday. This is the furthest thing from Saratoga right now.
It feels like it's like Aqueduct in the summer or something. It just doesn't. And I'll be honest with you, like, I thought Saturday, after obviously the test and Maple Leaf Mel, I thought that was the lowest that I've ever been in the horse racing world. And then I was on a flight. I was taxiing. I had a huge delay on my flight home in Charlotte, and I was like literally on the plane for like 3 hours before we took off. And so I'm like, what am I doing? I'm watching Saratoga. I'm betting, I'm like, well, I'm doing something. And so I thought that was the lowest I could go. And then not that it matters, but I once again have a bet on a horse, and the horse is about ready to roll, and the horse, you can tell, you knew the horse broke down, and you're just like, it just went from, I have to stop watching. I have to, like, at least, I have not watched a race since that moment of that race, and I was like, can't do it. And I haven't had, I just needed a mental break. In fact, I haven't even looked at a race until today when I was handicapping for today's show, because I just couldn't, I'll be honest, I just couldn't get there, and it was one of those things, and I'm more like talking through this out loud just because it's like, it doesn't really matter, but it's like, there was 3 horses over the course of Thursday to Sunday that I wagered on that died. And I get, like, my wager means nothing, but in a sense, there is some sort of weird, like, I need to take a break from this, because it feels like every time I make a bet, I'm like putting their lives at risk. And it was just, Sopron Baselli and the Glens Falls, was put down after the wire, and then of course the test, and then that race, and I think that horse's name was Ever Summer, in that allowance race on Sunday, and it just felt like, dude, I need a break, man.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's definitely, we talked about the marketability of the sport between us, and it's like, how do you market a sport like this? And the answer is you can't, and it's impossible. You can make bad bets in any other sport, but you're not going to lose a race because, your horse is dead or your player is dead. And that, cover your ears if you don't want to hear this, but that's what is that's what happens in horse racing sometimes. And we've had a horrible, streak of it for sure, but that's going to knock anybody down for a loop, and the Maple Leaf Mel thing, I mean, that was just the worst of the worst without any doubt. But yeah, I mean, that's just, how do you tell somebody if that was their first day at the track? How do you tell them, hey, come back tomorrow? You don't, right? And we were standing at the paddock bar, and you look out towards the entryway there, and the exits were just flooded with people. They were out of there. They said, we're done with
the Whitney.
Yeah, and we might as well have been. Well, I mean, we were pretty much just a shell of ourselves. We watched 2 more races, and we got out of there too. And the 9th race ran, and I barely knew it was even running. I looked up, and they were on the backstretch. And then the 10th race, we did go out and watch it, from the grandstand. But at the same time, it was just like, I don't really care what happens here, and we're running the Whitney, and I'm like, I just kind of want to leave. So it was awful. It was absolutely awful. And I mean, I'm with you. It's hard to get back up after that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you're right. I was the same way. Like, I was like, they're in the stretch. It was the Saratoga Derby, the next race, I'm like, oh, I like, oh, there's my horse, and it's like, you just, I don't know, you lost a lot. I mean, I never had seen it, other than maybe when Zenyatta lost the Classic. I've never seen a track so quiet, but certainly not midway through the card. It just was just quiet. You could tell it was very, I mean, dude, I've never seen anything like it. That what happened in the test. It was just, we were watching with a buddy of ours, Coleman, and he came in, obviously with a bunch of other people in the paddock bar, and I, it literally, and I'm not saying this like, oh, you were ahead of me. You look back, it literally dropped me to my knees.
Yeah,
because it was just, we've seen it all. We've all seen it. You watch racing or play, the horses long enough, you've seen it. But when it happens like that, and right there at the wire, and you're celebrating, I had Maple Leaf Mel, I had that, I was like so excited, celebrating, like, yeah, and then you go from that to just, and it just knowing instantaneously that she's dead. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I don't know, it took the wind completely out of me. And man, just true. And then, she ran just an unbelievable race, had never lost. It's just really a shame. Obviously, it's a shame, but just for it to end like that, it was hard. It was hard. It's still hard to kind of get past that, because I don't know. It's kind of gone from that to, to racing to like, man, I hope they just finished the race,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I totally agree. You just kind of, it feels a lot like Santa Anita back in the day when they were having all those problems. You'd watch the race, and you'd count how many, started the race, and then you would count how many crossed the wire, and I don't think it's to that point, but it kind of started to feel like it's like, yeah, let's just hope everybody comes home safe, and it's rough. It's rough. And we're not even getting into all the other issues they've had with taking races off the turf, 1 minute to post before the pick 5. And
yeah, that happened Sunday after another break. The breakdown we talked about. I mean, that was a freaking disaster in itself.
Yeah. So, and now, like I said, we haven't been on the turf since. So there's obviously, problems with the turf. And that's no surprise to anybody that watches the races there. There's been bobbles and stumbles on that turf. It's bad right now. This is not fun times for the sport, and it should be, because this should be the highlight of the season, other than maybe the Triple Crown, obviously. But it's just not. Now, thankfully, Del Mar having a really nice meet, but boy, Saratoga, man, it's a lot of it's bad luck. The weather. They can't control that. But some of this other stuff, it's like, yeah, this is not good.
Yeah, it happened multiple times Saturday. We noticed it on Saturday. Like, you see these horses were running down the stretch. I'm pretty sure it cost a few horses, at least placing, if not a win. that bobbled in the stretch, you know,
Yep.
and took a weird step. And I mean, thank goodness they were okay. And then obviously it wasn't bad enough apparently to keep him off the turf on Sunday, and we saw what happened. So everyone we talked to was like, yeah, it's a bog, you know, it's still a bog, which probably was. I mean, it rained a ton.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's just the incompetency, I think, of it all. It's just like, if you're gonna say, let's go to Friday, you know, it's like, okay, if you want to take off the Hall of Fame, if you want to take it off the turf, maybe you only have 3 horses run or whatever, like, at least that's fine. Like, I think everyone understands, like, like you said, the weather is the weather. You can't do anything about it. Or if you want to cancel it immediately, I mean, that sucks, but it's like, just sit there forever and then wait for the rain to stop and then say, oh wait, we're going to cancel it. And it just is like, okay, that makes no sense. I mean, like you said, we walked out of there and it was perfectly, you know, the weather was fine.
Yeah.
So it's just like little stuff. I it's not really necessarily that it's happening, it's how it's being handled right now. And like the pick 5 thing is just, I think if you tried to explain that to like a serious, just general sports bettor, like, hey, by the way, in our sport, this is what I mean, it'd be like someone making a bet, you know, in an NFL game, and then as they like lined up to kick the opening kickoff, you find out, oh, by the way, Mahomes is out. Oh, go ahead, and you're just like, whatever. I mean, I know it's different, but it's not that different in the sense of you're changing the situation of the game, of how you might make the bets right as soon as they're starting.
Yeah, Mahomes is out, and you're getting 10 times worse a price than you would have got if he was playing. I mean, that's kind of what it was. Like, you know, it's like you got even money on the Chiefs, and then 30 seconds before kickoff, they go, Mahomes is out, and now you're minus 800.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Wait, can I change this? No, can't change it. What? Like, it's a disaster. And the biggest, well, I shouldn't say the biggest. There's 3 real fundamental problems, and you know, the people running horse racing having no idea who their customer is, how their customer thinks. It's insane that you are that out of touch. You know, it would be like us. I mean, seriously, it's really this bad. It would be like us saying, hey, we've got 10 races offered here at Saratoga today for our customers. We know you guys want all 10 races, so go ahead and buy it. We got all 10. And then they buy it, and there's only 4 races on the card. And so you get an email, and you're like, well, it says 10 races. Why is there only 4? And we're like, I don't know. That's literally what it is. Like, that's how out of touch most of the people running things and racing, that's how out of touch they are with their customer. I think, you know, I was talking to Somich about it. It's like, I think in their head, they took it off the turf and they thought, well, that's all right. Before those races come, they can re-handicap them. They're not even thinking that, well, what about the pick 5s? What about the pick 3s? What about the doubles? What about the 4? They're not even thinking about that because they're clueless on who the customer is. And if you watch the interview with the NYRA CEO on Talking Horses, you realize he's absolutely clueless about who his customer is. Is he clueless about like how to run like the schematics of a business? Probably not. But is he clueless on who actually makes his company run or his organization run? Yes, and it was clear. He didn't have any idea about the gambler, how all of it works. He was clueless. So,
and that, in a nutshell, is the problem of the sport entirely. Because it's all ran of what we think we want to do, and we don't care what anyone else thinks or does.
Yep.
And they just operate how they want to operate. And the bottom line is, they know people are still going to wager. They're still going to bet. Yep. I mean, yeah, we'll be pissed for a day, but tomorrow I'll handicap and I'll bet again. And that's the reality of it. And I think until that changes, until we start seeing people walk away from the game, which honestly, you add in the deaths and you add in this kind of shit and you add in the cancellations and whatever, like, we're diehards. And even I'm like, golly, I don't know how much more I can take of this.
It's time to stop kidding. Long term, this game is dead. And I'm sure people will comment, no, long term, this game is dead. We're not making new people. There's no way new people are going to join this game. It's just not going to happen. Now, in our lifetimes, Jared, we're in Magic, see you're on here, and a lot of the people on here in your lifetimes, Probably going to be around. I think it's going to contract over the years, but we're going to be around. But the biggest difference is new people, younger people, they're going to not, if they, they're going to be like, well, I don't want to sit there and watch horses die. Okay, that's a group of people. Or these younger people that have sports readily available for them to bet now. And then they say, well, let's try racing. And then something like what we're describing happens. They're going to go, you know what? No, I think I'll just bet the NFL. I don't really need to go bet this race. Less and less new fans are coming into this game. And long-term, this thing is dead, and it is totally on the hands of the incompetence of horse racing upper management, and it's on the hands of people in horse racing that have control over data feeds and won't let anybody use them, and have control over videos and won't let anybody use them because they don't care about the sport. They don't care about growing the sport. They care about themselves. They care about making money, period. They want to hold anybody down that's new, period. That's what it is. That's from guys that have been in it for 10 years and try to get to higher levels and get held down by these people. And it happens over and over and over. And that's just it. I mean, that's the facts of it. And you can argue with me all you want. I don't really care because I live it. I live it every day. I see it up close every day. It's just going to get worse unless there's some drastic changes in the sport.
It's the good old boys. That's the way we operate. If you're in it, if you've been in it for a long time or whatever, then that's fine. But the newcomers, we've had to fight and claw, and honestly, if we weren't as persistent and hardworking, and I don't want to like pat ourselves on the back, but there's been a lot of times where we could have said, we'll just, this is not worth it. And honestly, I'm starting to have that conversation with myself because it's hard to consider. It's like kind of like banging your head against the wall over and over and expecting something different to happen than to get like a headache. And it's just like, no, well, I keep doing it, and it kind of feels like you're trying to grow a business or trying to grow a sport or whatever with your hands tied behind your back and your mouth, closed, and you can't do anything, can't say anything, can't operate. Dude, I'll never forget. The funniest thing happened, and I think I've told you this. I may have said it on the show, but it's like when I was talking to a buddy, someone I knew, acquaintance, or I don't remember who it was, but it was like you're talking about horse racing. Let's talk about something happened. Draw something out of a hat. Something shitty happened, and they're like, I can't believe the commissioner, or I can't remember how they said it, but did the commissioner not like enforce anything? I'm like, I just started laughing. I thought, oh no. We don't have one of those actually. So like, what? It's like that's like step one. How do you expect other people to take you seriously if we don't even know how to handle our shit ourselves? And how we can't compete with the sports. Forget about it. I realize this is a very much of a downer situation here, but like we're gonna say how we feel, and I think I don't know how many years, it's going to be many years, but there'll be a point, how we look at harness racing when we go, we're like, let's just go the harness track, whatever.
I did that 2 weekends ago. Yeah.
That's what horse racing is going to be.
That's what it is. If you weren't in it, that's what it is.
On a bigger level, but
true.
But then you'll start seeing, well, the Derby's not on NBC anymore. It's on NBC Sports. And then from NBC Sports, it's going to be on, Fox Sports 2. And then Peacock. After that, you know what I mean? It's going to slowly, it's not going to just go away tomorrow, but it's going to slowly go. And then eventually it'll be like, hey, you want to go to Oaklawn? Like, let's go to Saratoga. And it's like, it's just not going to have the same thing about it, because people aren't betting it. And I don't blame them.
Do you have any family or friends that aren't in the horse racing industry that have any care or knowledge or even know that it's around?
I haven't had one person ask me who won the Whitney.
No.
How was the Whitney?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope.
They asked me about the horse that died.
Yep.
So.
I have no family members that care that it exists. I have no friends I went to high school with, friends I went to college with. Never do they ask me about it. Ever.
No.
RacingNews.com is your home for the best free picks for every race, every track. Summer's here. Our picks are heating up. We want you to join us in the fun. Subscribe to the Racing Dudes YouTube channel right now. Click the notification bell. You don't want to miss a single one of our awesome videos. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.